Welcome to the League. Welcome to another episode of the League, a DBNC business talk show where bold ideas meet bottom lines and doing business in Nigeria moves from potential to playbook. I am Coach Linda Uneze, your host. On today's episode, we'll be discussing how businesses can actually create multiple revenue streams and build a sustainable business. To unpack this topic, I have an interesting personality in the studio with me, someone who has worked across various multinational organizations and is currently building a homegrown organization. He is no other than the Group CEO, Dr. Ayo Adegboye. Hi, Dr. AY.
Hi.
So good to have you here.
Likewise.
I have to say this. I say this all the time. I'm sure you hear me say it all the time. You are such a big supporter of this platform. In 2022, you were a speaker. 2023, you came back as a sponsor. 2024, you came back as a sponsor as well, and as a judge as well.
Yeah.
And 2025, Arravo also sponsored the conference, and you also were the chief judge. So, and you're here again. You never say no to us, and for that, we're very grateful. So, Dr. AY, what you've been doing with Arravo is quite interesting. But for some of the founders who are listening and our audience, it would be nice to know the Arravo story. What's the vision behind Arravo? What led you to kick off that business?
Thanks, Coach Linda, for having me once again. I mean, it's amazing things you're doing here at DBNC.
Thank you.
It started just like yesterday. What appears to be a small idea is really grown now. I'm very much happy to see what you're doing today. When I look back to see how we started and how far we're going and how far you still go, it kind of brings inspiration to me as well, that whatever you put your mind at, you could actually do much more and surpass your expectation. How do I separate my story from Arravo and Arravo from me? Like you rightly mentioned, I've worked for a couple of multinationals, and in the last 15 to almost 20 years of my career, I've had the opportunity to handle leadership responsibility across, various verticals, but with focus on technology, but also being able to also work with the public sector in the public sector environment. I've always wanted to work in an organization or any organization whose my personal goals and objectives align. Like I said, I had an interesting career, and I was opportunity to become I was a director with Samsung at the time, Samsung Electronic. From there, I left for Schneider Electric as the vice president for West East and part of the Central Africa. That responsibility comes with a whole lot of load on your shoulder, So I was restless at the time. I wanted to own my business. But I've also heard stories of people who jump out of 9 to 5 to start a business, and after a while, they start going back with their CV looking for a job. So I said, okay, you know what? I need to learn on the job. I need to actually have as much P&L experience as I could. So that was the driving force. So sometimes in 2016, precisely 10 years ago, these South Africans approached me. They needed a Nigerian CEO to run their business. This business has been in Nigeria since 2008, precisely, yes, February 2008. So they approached me. We had chit chat. I met with the board of directors. I was invited over to South Africa. I said, okay, let's rock and roll and see what we could do differently. So I joined them. Obviously, business pick up within the pace of a year to two. That's when you were talking about the 250% year-on-year growth. Just before COVID-19, I won't bore you with so long story. Just before COVID-19, they decided to leave Nigeria, and actually they decided to leave the rest of Africa in about 9 countries Nigeria being the biggest of all these countries, apart from the South Africa entity of BCS. So, of course, we had bidders. Some of the big brands in Nigeria were trying to also buy the business. As the CEO who made the business profitable in the last 5 years prior to that time, the chairman of the board and the board also told me that, okay, maybe you might be interested in management buyout. Maybe you should put in your bid for consideration. So I called some of my team members in Arravo, then in BCX, some of my management team, that, okay, guys, the opportunity has shown up. But some didn't see it as opportunity. Some say, I can't do this with you. But like they always say, leadership is lonely at the top. So I have to now go home, several sleepless nights. We skated through the first stage, the second stage. There was a clause. I remember that clause stick in my head. And I was referring to that clause most time when I was going into negotiation. The clause said, we reserve the right to sell the business to you. We reserve the right on who buys the business, not necessarily the highest bidder, but your intent and purpose for the business. We were considered, we won payment consideration, so on and so forth. I won't bother you with that again. I think it was sometimes around 27 or 28th of March 2019, just 2020. And after we signed off, it was 2 days later, COVID-19 came and there was a lockdown. So quite challenging time we had then. We all know what happened during COVID. Some of the contracts we had were cancelled. People could not go to work. And one thing about Arravo is we do not have any infrastructure. Our people are our asset. And the only thing I protect jealously in Arravo are my people. So we have CCI engineers, we have this security expert, we have all these high-flying young guys working in Arravo. These are the valuable assets we have to protect. So I make sure during COVID-19 everybody was happy all through. So what I told my team is the biggest investment should actually happen in the days of crisis. When crisis is over, you will actually be ahead of your peers. That's exactly what we did. And today, this is another totally a different ball game. So November 6, precisely 2020, we changed our name from BCS to Arravo. We had over 50,000 viewers on YouTube watching us live, and it was all over CNN as well. We made sure we got the brand name right, the brand strategy, the brand momentum, and we also kept to all the standard that we have always had when we were with South Africa in terms of the choice of the auditor, the choice of tax consultant and the tax auditor. I mean, we pretty much maintain the standard operating practice as it was there. Not like we're letting down the standard because we are now fully Nigeria. So by the way, we are now 100% Nigerian board, 100% Nigerian shareholder. I guess you will still ask me a question about that. So
absolutely.
Let me pause at this point.
Absolutely. You just said something that I'm going to take with me, and that is, the biggest achievements should happen during crisis, so that when the crisis is over, you will be ahead of your peers. And that's something that I'm taking with me. This management buyout that you have led is very impressive, and you've scaled across West Africa. But what is that one revenue idea that you tried and that made you realize there is this potential to create multiple revenue streams? Because I know you're an investor as well.
Thank you. So the business model of Arravo itself evolving into what I call annuity business strategy. From annuity business strategy, when that appeared to be working for us, I said, okay, annuity business is good. We could have some 5-6 year contracts, especially with the likes of the oil and gas and the financial institutions. But if we could do it for annuity business, we could also do it for daily business. We could do it for monthly business. So annuity business is something that has also helped us, because what that does is, when we look at year-on-year performance and we're getting to the new financial year, I could almost see the revenue target for the new year that almost 50% or 60% of that will come from annuity business because of the contract we've had in place. So those are the line item I was focusing on when I'm reviewing the business performance year on year, month on month, period on period. Because we've tried this with annuity business, so we're not trying it with monthly business that is actually daily. So looking at the likes of Arravo Socks is a business that allows opportunity to provide service for organization without organization necessarily need to bring huge investment outlay. It's a business that allows organization to go into OPEX as against CAPEX, and we offer you a service. I don't want to go too much into this, but within your life space environment in office, anything that has to do with technology, you don't need to bring huge capital outlay. We come in, we offer you infrastructure, hardware, software, as the case may be. You only pay us for the number of users, and you only pay us on a monthly basis. So that's Arravo Socks. That is a new line of business. Then we got that right. We went into Arravo Academy. We look at the challenge within the industry. People need to be trained. I started off Arravo Academy 3 years ago. I gave a scholarship on my birthday. By the way, I do that as often as I could. In the last 3-4 years, I've been giving a scholarship to average of 15-20 students. So we give a scholarship. The way Arravo Academy work is we're not just a regular training institutions. We offer practicality in terms of the training. So we bring a fresh graduate coming out of NYC camp, because the biggest challenge today is that nobody will give you opportunity without having 2-year work experience. How will you get 2 years working experience when everybody say you need 2-year work experience? So what we do is we bring them in, we take them in Arravo Academy for 3 months, intensive training in the classroom. We offer them another 3 months internship. And today we have the likes of large enterprise customers today, the likes of MTN, the likes of Total, LLNG, NNPC, just to mention a few, the large corporate. So we attach them to all these large corporate as part of the Arravo engineers or Arravo staff. In the period of 3 months, they tend to learn on the job. At the end of the day, we'll probably retain like 5 of them, but the 10 that are left or 20 that are left, they now have work experience. So their profile or CV is no longer blank. And by the time you say you have had internship with some of these organizations I mentioned, it kind of opened doors for you. Other than that, there are working students who actually pay on their own. So again, this is another source of income for us. So from looking at it from annuity business to monthly business, now we're looking at daily stream of income. So we don't need to wait till the end of the year, end of the month to get something daily. And that's been propelling force to see how we constantly be thinking outside the box to make sure that we sustain the sources of revenue.
Interesting. Before I ask you the next question, when you were talking about Arravo Academy, I know there are people who could be interested in what you're doing. Is there a platform they can go to? Is there a website, so they can also register their interest?
Yes, I think the platform is still open for another 2 weeks before they close it, usually around June.
Okay.
So my birthday is June 29, so they normally open the platform for people who want the scholarship. If you go to arravo.co, www.arravo.co/academy, you get to see that. And if you go to our Instagram page, you also have some bio to click on if you want to obtain the scholarship.
Okay, thank you for that information.
By the way, the intern is also a paid intern. So
Amazing.
Not just giving you training, we also pay you for the internship.
That's interesting. You're being trained and you're also being paid for being trained. So some business owners rely on a single stream of income. For various reasons. For some out of necessity, some just out of fear. For some others, maybe they need to focus, right? But how, in today's economy, how do you think businesses need to start thinking differently, about diversification, and what signs would tell them it's time to expand or pivot their revenue base?
For most business that we have seen today that are large corporations, it will amaze you how they started. They never started in the present business that actually brought them to fame. If you're not constantly thinking and evolving on multiple streams of income, your business is potentially going to be disrupted. I'm one person that is restless.
That I know.
I'm restless. Honestly, Linda, if I'll tell you, it's getting boring for me now. Mm-hmm. I've never worked in a place on my career for more than 4 or 5 years. By the way, I'm not encouraging people to do this. Maybe I was made for that. But for once, I've been on this particular role for almost 10 years as the CEO of Arravo. And I look back and say, whatever kept you on this role? So again, it's a function of not waking up to do the same thing every day and it becomes like a routine exercise every day. Because I'm always thinking, what can I do differently? What can I do differently? You never can tell where the disruptor will come for you. The disruptor coming for you may not even be in your industry. Encyclopedia Britannica, Encyclopedia America never knew the common enemy the both of them were fighting was Google and Wikipedia at the time. It took them a while to realize that this guy came to disrupt us, but he was never in the same industry with them. So whatever business you're doing today, you need to constantly be thinking of expansion. You need to constantly be thinking, what can I do differently? When I see opportunity with young people, I'm pretty much happy to want to invest in the idea. The whole idea around this is, if I could invest in 20 business, only 2 or 3 eventually make it to the limelight. The venture profit and the revenue will make up for whatever losses on the 17, 18 other ones. So we get our fingers burned, but we don't get discouraged. We still come back again to make more investment. And I've seen it work in most time. I've seen young people come with brilliant idea. You make some investment. At the early start, they get too excited. They take a walk. But again, we won't get discouraged. All I want is out of 20, if I could get 1 or 2 that could make it to limelight at the end of the day, I'm pretty cool with that.
Okay, you've worked across multiple organizations, global brands, and now building a homegrown company. What is one corporate strategy from your background that you think Nigerian SMEs can adopt? I know, we say we shouldn't focus on what everyone is doing, right? Focus on what is the most fit for your business. But regardless, based on your experience and how you have navigated and built several companies and still growing as a corporate organization, if you're to advise, what would you say is one thing from your experience that SMEs can actually adopt in order to build multiple revenue streams?
Thanks, Coach Linda. One thing is, I keep telling young people and the SME, pedigree and integrity comes first. And when I have opportunity to tell people, I said that there are 3 types of networking when they tell you about networking. The first one is, they will tell you it is people you know that matter. Now who you know matter. So it's part of network. And the second one is that the people you know, do they know you? So who knows you? That's the second. The last one is people who know you, what do they say about you when you are not in the room? And that is where the pedigree, the integrity, and the trust comes in. For SME, one of the first things you need is having the trust of the people, and there's nothing that sells you more than word of mouth marketing as SME. It's the word of mouth that actually sells you. And the only way you can maintain the good word of mouth marketing is when people realize that you have pedigree and integrity. So that comes first. It may be inconveniencing, it may be difficult, but with time, people know you for who you are and what you do. It goes a long way, especially among women. When they talk about other women's businesses, I mean, because of the friendship, relationship, this person will never let you down. I can vouch for this person. So those are the words that keep pushing you further. Even when you are not there, people are selling for you. Other than that, having the right attitude towards customer service, focus on customer. Just put focus on customer. Ignore your competition. Ignore everybody. Don't start out that you want to be the biggest in your industry. It's a mistake. Don't start out saying that you want to be the best. It's a mistake. Focus on customer, maintain your integrity, offer service, be reliable. It's a function of time. You will not even know. You sleep one day, you wake up the next day, boom, you are the biggest in your industry. But it starts with little disciplines. Focus on customer, pedigree, integrity, discipline. All this will need to come to play. And the biggest mistake small business in Nigeria also make is people don't realize when your business has outgrown you. When every decision comes to you at the detriment of your customers, you should know the business is outgrowing you. When everybody around you is waiting for you to take decision, the business is outgrowing you. So that's when you now begin to think of, how do I begin to invest in technology that will not necessarily break my pocket? Small ERP or small application that will actually help you put it together. And don't make the mistake of running away from paying your taxes. So I see a lot of SME. I mean, we're in Nigeria where you can get away with a lot of things. Again, I won't blame you for not wanting to pay your taxes. I don't want to go into government responsibility now. But I've heard SME business that bank is not forthcoming. But bank is asking you for your statement, your financial statement, your audited report. You don't have it. Your business does not need to be a 10 million, 100 million. Even that your 100K, 1 million naira per annum business, you could still have audited report. And when your business costs certain threshold, get an auditor. A roadside auditor could also help you based on it. You need to get somebody to help you put this together. And if this is done, you file in your annual returns as SME, and you pay government a token tax. So in this way, your books start to look good. And of course, they've been saying this over and over and over again: separate your lifestyle from your business. Although your business will also finance your lifestyle, but you have to be disciplined about it to be accountable for everything you do. But when your business is beginning to get too clumsy, that everybody will have to wait for you, your business is gradually outgrowing you. Unless you now put structure in place, you may not be able to scale to the next level.
Structure is very important
Absolutely.
in order to scale.
Absolutely.
That's a good one. So let's talk execution, right? Once you've spotted a potential new revenue stream, what's your personal playbook for testing and scaling it? What are the metrics I would say, you watch out for first? So we can also pick those insights from you.
So when I see new businesses or potential, by the way, it's still an idea, it's not an opportunity unless it's executed before it becomes an opportunity. I usually have my canvas where I normally do a business canvas, begin to draw up all across the value chain of the business and the industry, and just like the Potter's 5, you play around with are you trying to the buyer, the seller, the rivalry, the internal control, and especially business that potentially could be a business that will give me a blue ocean strategy. Those I give more attention to. Nobody has done it before. So, which means if I give it all the attention and I scale through, potentially I'll have the first mover advantage. We also want to be careful in terms of barrier to entry, in terms of the capital outlay vis-a-vis the risk ahead. So once I consider all this is part of what inform my decision, go or no go, make or buy decision at the end of the day.
I like that. I'm also taking mental notes. Trust me. So let's talk about failure, right? And that's something that some people shy away from. You only hear when things are going great, or sometimes, talking about some of the challenges you've had, some of the things that failed, can also, inspire the next person, because you're doing quite well, right? You have picked up, whatever challenges you've had in the past, you've been able to navigate. So what is one revenue stream you would say you have explored that did not turn out well, and how did you overcome it?
We've made some bad business decisions in the past, but like we said, okay, let me give you a typical one. I remember a few years ago, that was about some 8 years ago, we actually invested in cloud. It cost us a couple of millions of dollars. But the entire business investment went down the drain. And of course, we had to step back and say, okay, what did you do wrong? We realized that it was the technology that came ahead of its time, especially for the environment we live. And the example I normally give is if Uber had come in 15 years ago, it probably would be a failure because how many people had a smartphone in their hand? So when we talk about technology at times could come ahead of its time. There was a company some 25 years ago called Rhapsody. They are doing exactly the same thing Spotify is doing now. But Rhapsody came within 2-3 years, they were extincted because not too many people could afford, even in Europe, not too many people had data and there was no emergence of 4G or 5G to support the streaming of music. So it was a good idea. Business peak was good, fantastic, but it came ahead of its time. So we invested in cloud business in Nigeria to be a local cloud operator, but the resistance from people, the regulatory authority, the infrastructure, everything did not support the business decision. So it was a huge failure. We struggle. At the end of the day, we had to count our losses and move on. That's just one huge mistake we made in business. Of course, we put ourselves together, we moved on. We've also been involved in a couple of some business decisions. I mean, for an organization like Arravo, some of the business decisions could actually mean having a wrong hire. You hire a wrong person to run certain part of the business, and you realize that this person is a round, is a square peg in a round hole. There is not going to work. So those are part of the decision. And once we make that decision, we say, okay, how do we figure it out? We need to just get out of it, snap out of it, and move on. So a business doing well is not completely devoid of mistakes. We've had our own mistakes in the past, and we're still not afraid of making mistakes because if we want to fail fast and move on.
I like that. If you want to fail fast and move on. get it done already and learn from your mistakes. So, I mean, we often talk about how technology is an enabler. I personally think that technology can unlock new revenue streams, but some businesses don't just know where to start. In your opinion, what do you think, or how do you think entrepreneurs, especially those in the rural areas, how do you think they can leverage technology to create more revenue streams?
I've been involved in projects with rural community back in the days when I was working in IBM. We had an initiative we worked on together for farmers. Something as simple as USSD code, what do they call it? So I had the opportunity to work with farmers to develop application. This was long ago, not even running on a smartphone, to surprise you. So what we did then was, and it will amaze you the adoptions. We're talking to farmers, the fishermen, to say that, okay, what is the key, the weight of the fish, the type of the fish, how much is being sold in the city. Send this code to this number. You will get a daily price. So when you are selling, you don't undersell it. It's amazing how they all embrace, because again, it turned out to be more profit for them. The same thing with farmers. Something as simple as USSD code to generate the daily pricing. So I've had opportunity to work with rural community. When I was in Samsung, I also worked with a bank. We developed an application with, I think, was it Citrus application that allow you to actually have a mobile interface with the core banking application. So what we did then was, it was like child's play when we started, and I came up with the idea. I told the technical people, I had a bunch of technical people in my team, that I think this could work. Let's put something together. Let's crack it. So we realized that just even before we started talking about the financial inclusion, we said that there are some banks that operate only on market day in the rural area, maybe only on Tuesday, only on Thursday, once in a week. How do you get to open a bank account then? Those days there was no open banking application like we have today. What we did was, from the mobile phone, you could actually go in. You don't need to bother these rural people, go and get a passport photograph, do this. No, take that off. Get a user phone as a bank, take the picture, get all the details you wanted from there. You can also get the biometrics and everything you need. The next market day can come up, generate a bank account for them and put them through the process. This is some of the fascinating historical experience I've had using technology. But fast forward to the question and where we are today. It's almost impossible to run any business today without technology in the middle of it or in the center of anything you're doing. We've left the era of using your intuition or using your own idea to think this is the way to work. Our parents did that, it worked for them. But this generation, it's almost impossible to run any business without technology. And when we talk about technology, even either in rural community or in urban community, there's a whole lot you can do with data. And until you have the data, you realize that, okay, let me use example, a favorite example. Someone is selling akara off the road and no data. She probably fry 500 akara and sell every day. But she has never noticed that on Wednesday, she doesn't sell as much on Tuesday because maybe on Wednesday, people go for midweek service and they are not coming home directly. I mean, it could be for any reasons. Then you don't even have the data of the people who buy from you. So this person comes around, buy 10 every day, you don't have clear data. So by the time you start leveraging on simple technology, it's not anything too expensive. I keep saying it. And when we talk about data, for once, take your mind off, maybe don't talk about artificial intelligence or big data. No. Simple data on your spreadsheet, play around with it, plot some graphs, do some analysis, day to day, week by week, month by month analysis. And it's amazing. You look at the like of the large business, what they do with data, and it starts with discipline. So in 2010, I was working with a particular telecom operator. So there's something operator called Apple, ARPU, average revenue per user. And of course, we realize that once it's getting to July, August, we realize that the ARP decrease and increase. How would that happen? More people are now paying for roaming subscription, lesser local call, because people are traveling on vacation, so they are roaming their phone. We now realize that a particular operator in that country in that year, they made huge profit simply because a World Cup was held in that country. A lot of people came in, they were roaming, and their interconnectivity charges. So these are data. So it could give you an informed decision that the last time this happened, this is the revenue. So now this is going to happen. Let's prepare for this. How do we even maximize our profit? So that's a typical case of usage of data in a large environment, a large enterprise. But it's also scaled down to small business. Your data could be on the spreadsheet, but if every day you look at it, you compare in terms of what am I doing right, what am I doing wrong, it could also go a long way to inform decision. And the likes of Google, Microsoft, and the rest, they've gotten a lot of much cheaper version of most of these data appreciation, data exploitation. You can play around with data. So just need to learn the basic things. And if you don't know how to do it, it's not completely out of place to get someone to help you. I mean, someone to play around with your whatever you have within the data in your environment. It's not going to cost you arm and leg. Somebody coming to help you doesn't mean the person will be on your payroll. It's somebody who probably will put on a contract agreement, maybe 2 or 3 times in a month to come in around, obtain your data, play around with your data. I mean, just something to keep you in check and in guide, to be able to look at how do I expand my business based on the data I have available to me. And it will surprise you, you build that data over a period of 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, you look back, it will shock you the amount of data you have in place. And this is part of what will help you to scale the business and also guide you in terms of making informed decisions.
That's very detailed. Very detailed. Data is powerful. Can also help you manage risk as well, as a business.
It will help you in managing risk. It helps you in managing risk, your inventory, your exposure, your expectation. I mean, you can't even see the end from beginning in terms of data exploitation and what data could do for you. And I keep saying, when we talk about obtaining data, take your mind off huge expense. You start with the discipline of having a simple spreadsheet within your environment. We call it raw data, by the way.
I have an interesting question for you. What would you say are the underexplored revenue opportunities in Nigeria right now? You know, especially for those who are ready to take bold but calculated risk.
Underexplored revenue
streams, opportunities.
Opportunity.
For someone who is listening and is thinking,
I can't think of anyone. The only thing I can tell you now is that the population is huge. So anything you think you can do to attract people and to interest people, you drive to a certain location in Lagos and you see population. You don't see traffic. You see opportunity, because when you have a lot of cluster of people coming together, there must be opportunity to serve people. Before you start thinking of product sales, think of service first, because more often than not, when you offer service, the barrier to entry is slightly low. If the barrier to entry is low, the risk is low as well. And if it's a service, you probably won't require a huge capital outlay from beginning. But in terms of opportunity, there are several opportunities out there. Anything that will allow me to make urgent 2K every day, I don't mind going for it. Either selling food, selling whatever. I mean, just to get the people. It's
amazing.
Something to consider.
I mean, it's been such an interesting conversation, Dr. Ayo. I wish we had more time. You know, I'm really, really enjoying this. But before we let you go, I have just one last question for you. If you have 60 seconds in a room filled with overwhelmed entrepreneurs, what would you say to them? And this time I want you to look into the camera and speak to them.
One thing I would say is that businesses don't fail. Entrepreneurs just get tired. So don't get tired.
Thank you once again, Dr. Ayo. It's been a pleasure, and we hope to invite you back, you know, in a different capacity this time, and we hope that you will say yes to us.
It's always a pleasure coming around.
Awesome. Yeah. So we've been talking to the group CEO of Arravo, and we have explored how businesses can create multiple revenue streams. I look forward to having you join us next week. My name is Coach Linda Uneze. Thank you for watching.